Hello, 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 hello,
Hi.
hello.
Hello.
Welcome to a very special episode of Whatever We Want.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna learn more about one of us.
Ourselves.
We haven't chosen who is actually gonna do the quiz the first time.
Well, you're sitting at the computer, so
So I'll go first.
you
Okay.
go first.
We looked it up. This free personality test. It's the 16 personalities test, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
It's based off like studies by Carl Jung.
That hack.
That loser.
That fucking.
I know very little about Carl. Is he a loser?
No. He did a lot of stuff. If I'm remembering Psych 101 accurately, which is it's a toss up as to whether or not I do. I did take it 3 times in my
Wow.
life, which is a story for another day, maybe. I don't know. But Carl Jung did a lot of his like best known work, I think, was with like children's cognitive development. Yeah. So I don't know what he knows about adults, but
We'll find out.
hopefully it was enough.
But we're gonna take this. I'm gonna take this test, and we're gonna find out what of one of 16 personalities I am, and then
Yeah.
more than likely also a few different of the 16 personalities, because you're never just one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even when you take, remember that color test we took? The color personalities, like if you're a blue.
Oh yeah, in school.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were both blues.
Yes, we were both blues.
Actually, that one sounded a lot like me, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's like
I
you're
remember that one.
introverted and all these
Yeah.
things, and yeah, it's really cool.
It's
okay,
like, you
so
like people, but you don't like love people.
Oh,
And I
you're
was
not
like,
a huge fan.
you know what? You're right.
Well, let's dive right in, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
First question: you enjoy vibrant social events with lots of people. I'm
I
gonna
was
say
gonna
this.
disagree. Yeah.
I'm gonna mid disagree because it's not like I dislike parties.
Yeah.
It's just like I dislike. There's a certain set of conditions that will make me dislike a party. Like
Yeah.
if there's lots of people that I don't know, or if the whole tune of the evening is to sit in a dark room with loud music and drink.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
I don't like it very much.
Yeah, you don't like it very much.
You know. You often spend times exploring unrealistic yet intriguing ideas. I think I am constantly doing
Wait.
that.
Often spend time exploring unrealistic yet intriguing ideas.
Yeah, like daydreaming.
Oh, okay.
I spend all fucking day daydreaming.
Yeah,
Like-
you daydream a lot. I don't like the word unrealistic in there because see, my thing with you is that you spend a lot of time like you love like fantasy and high fantasy, and
I do.
actually it consumes quite a lot of how and like what you think about. Sorry, I chugged a Coca-Cola before we started recording this, and that can't be there. And now I'm burping. But yeah, high fantasy kind of rules your life, but it's not unrealistic. Like I know, like it literally is like magic and dwarves
Right.
and like fairies and stuff like that is unrealistic.
Yeah.
But like the way that you process it, you use it to process like real world issues and stuff like that. So
That's an issue. What do you mean by that? Actually?
yeah.
Like,
Well,
I'm
I
curious.
find that a lot of my friends who love high fantasy like high fantasy, and no one's told me this explicitly, but especially in this age where like this literal age, like you're 24, I'm 26. A lot
Right.
of my friends are in their like early to mid 20s. High fantasy is all about like friendship and justice. And
It's
there's a lot of
certain
there's a lot of
stories,
like
yeah.
there's a lot of like difficult relationships and injustice in our lives right now. So a lot of my friends who are attracted to high fantasy, I think this is my armchair expert like opinion, like use it to process like and like they like seeing, you know, people getting along and fighting evil and
Right.
winning at the end of the
the
day.
idea of like using unrealistic, quote unquote, unrealistic media
Yeah.
applied to things like core values and personality.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like like long story short, like I really identify heavily with like shonen manga,
Yeah.
which is about young boys manga is literally
Yeah.
what that means.
Yeah.
Because it's all about being like, whether you like it or not, it's about being formative and like learning about how a young person becomes an older person and
Yeah.
the stages at which you grow.
Yeah.
And of course, these stories about people punching other people into walls and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also, like, a lot of the things that you want to do with your life revolve around high fantasy, like the work that you want to do and, like, make a career out of. So
Certainly,
it's like,
yeah.
sure, the setting in which you want your life to be surrounded by is unrealistic, but like the fact that you want to like write high fantasy like novels and movies and shows, this is not unrealistic.
Okay.
It's very possible.
Well, thank you.
So I got a little
appreciate
caught up on that when you said that you agree, because it's like, yeah, like you daydream, but like a lot of the stuff that you want to do is surrounded by like unrealistic ideas, but they're realistic in practice.
Right. They're not impossible. They're just
Yeah.
unrealistic.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you do daydream a lot. So
I mean,
that can stay.
I was daydreaming before this.
Yeah.
Your travel plans are more likely to look like a rough list of ideas than a detailed itinerary.
I would agree with that.
I'm going to say mid-agree, actually.
Yeah.
Because as my life has continued since university, order has become very important to me. In terms of traveling, I don't like itinerary travels.
No.
But if we were to be like, we'd like to hit these places.
Yeah.
But then, like, the order of which we do it and the time of which we need to get there, I probably wouldn't do that part. You know, I would, like, find what I want to do
Yeah.
and have that.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be, like, 5:15, like, at the lure, you know?
Yeah, well, that's what, like you, whenever we go somewhere, you have, like, a rough list. And it's usually just, like, in your head of places you want to go.
Yeah.
But if we don't hit all of those places, it's not the end of the world.
And my logic is I'll always be back, you know?
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Yeah.
You often think about what you should have said in a conversation long after it's taken place.
mean,
I'm gonna
don't we
go
all?
ahead and hard agree.
Don't we all?
I mean, who the fuck
Does
is
anybody ever leave a conversation feeling like, oh yeah, that was completely finished and I got all of my ideas out in a crystal clear way?
I'm glad that we said everything we wanted to say.
Yeah. I don't think anybody, I think the disconnection between your brain and your mouth is too far.
I
for
agree.
that to
No,
happen.
I hard agree. I'll be in the shower and think about something that I should have said, or even like days later, because I'm a bit of a dweller when it comes to important conversations. You know,
Yeah.
I think about things for a long time.
Like after the fact.
And, well, it's part of the reason why, like, I mean, I'm sure you as my partner notice this, but, like, you know, when I come to the table to discuss something, I tend to have my thoughts pretty figured out.
No, I didn't notice that at all. Who are you?
I don't know. Nice to meet you. My name is Cameron.
Oh, no, wow.
Yeah.
What's your favorite breakfast cereal?
I don't know, but I often think about things I should have said in conversations long after it has taken place.
Well, at least you know that about yourself.
Definitely.
Maybe figure out what your favorite breakfast cereal is. It's important.
It's Frosted Flakes.
Okay.
If your friend,
I did know that.
if your friend is sad about something, your first instinct is to support them emotionally and not try to solve their problem.
I would disagree.
Your first instinct is to support them and not try to solve. You don't.
Oh, sorry. Wait, your first instinct. Yeah, I disagree.
So wait a minute.
You often show support in trying to like solve solutions. That was like
Yeah.
one of the things that we disagreed with like first in our relationship is you would be like, well, maybe you could do this. And I'm like, I don't want you to solve my problem.
Right, yeah.
I just want to vent.
I will say this. I do think that my emotional processes are definitely revolved around problem solving. All of my ideas, the things I feel bad about, present themselves as problems.
Well,
And then problems to be solved.
It was just difficult because
But that's me, and I needed to not put that on others.
Yeah, totally. And like that's how you show that you care, and that's how you show. From like, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just what I've observed. To me, it just seems like that is how you show that you've been listening, like actively listening to
Yeah.
someone's problem.
I'd say that.
Is if you can present them with a solution of some kind, and it doesn't even have to be something like you don't care whether or not they actually do it,
Right.
but you can at least like you want them to know that you listened and that you can recite back to them what their problem is through like hopefully solving like trying to come up with a solution.
Yeah.
So that's where like I would often like find it difficult with you because I'd be like, okay, I'm glad that you know like what like all of the moving parts to this problem. I don't like want you to solve it for me though. I just need to like, vent and deal with it.
That was I mean, if I could say, that was a very stark difference, and still is to this day a stark difference between you and I and the way we process emotions, is that like you're much more of a time person, and I'm much more of an answers person. Like, if I have proof to feel, if I have proof that shows off the way I'm feeling is just me being anxious or incorrect, then I can very quickly be like, cool, then I have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Like if I'm anxious about maybe a friend and I think they're upset and I talk to them and things are fine and seem normal, well, I'm going to take that.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas if I could say to you, and maybe we'll talk about it more when you do the test,
Yeah.
you're much more of like a sit with it, deal with it, feel
Yeah.
your feelings, and then come out on the other side kind of person.
Yeah.
And that was a stark difference between the two of us when we started dating. Obviously, I understand that far better now.
Yeah.
And I've actually applied that way of thinking to whenever people come to me with problems.
Yeah.
Because people don't come to me for answers.
Yeah.
They come to me for support.
Yeah.
I'm an answers person.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean everybody is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a learning experience. I appreciate, that's one of the things I appreciate about our relationship, actually, is you've taught me a lot about different emotional sensibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And how you need to appeal
Mm-hmm.
to someone's emotional sensibility when solving a problem.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes, right?
Yeah, definitely.
People can rarely upset you. Yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah.
I mid-agree. I'm not infallible.
Yeah.
I get upset like everybody else.
Yeah.
My thing when I get upset, I tend to not stay upset for long.
Yeah.
I am the bounce back kid, you could say.
The bounce back kid.
I tend to not stay down for long.
Bill Clinton, the bounce back kid. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. Like even if they upset you, like it just doesn't bother you for long. Like sometimes like we'll go to a party, or like your parents will have a party,
Mm-hmm.
and then like one of your parents' friends will do something annoying, and we'll be like gossiping about it with your mom the next day, and like you're just like completely over it, but your mom and I are like, I can't believe the audacity that they would do that. Do they not know?
Be fucking leavable.
Some people, I swear to God, and you're just like, man, yeah, it happened, but like I'm over it.
Who cares?
Yeah. It's in the past.
This is a purely personal opinion, and I first of all do not expect you to agree with this whatsoever. But when it comes to conflict with others, especially like, I'm not talking about like friend conflict or like relationship conflict, like conflict to be solved.
Mm-hmm.
People who make you upset. Like there's this guy who comes in the store who acts like a total asshole every time he's in there, and is such a jerk off, and really gets under my skin because I think if you treat workers poorly, you're a bad person.
Yes.
And
Especially in this day and age.
especially during everything that's going on. But in my opinion, if I stay upset forever, he wins.
Yeah.
And
that doesn't work for you.
And I am sure as fuck not gonna let that happen.
That's like one of the best things that I've learned from our relationship from you. Is that it doesn't serve a purpose, because like I used to stay mad in the name of justice. I'd be like, no, like this person's gonna know that I'm upset all the time because it's their fucking fault. So hopefully they're gonna feel bad that I feel bad every time they're simply around me.
Right.
That they'll change their ways and start treating people a lot nicer. Or maybe like I'll just be the only person that they treat like shit and they don't take that shit anywhere else, which like I'm cool with that.
Sure.
But like you have like shown me, not so much like, it's not like you like espoused your wisdom to me all the time, but I just like realized that you're happier because you're not constantly fucking mad at every single injustice that's happened to you since the dawn of time. Because my method, it's just like I just have a collection now of all of these people who have pissed me off and I have to stay pissed off at them forever.
Right.
But you like what can I say? You pick your battles.
Yeah,
you know, like
very
there
much so.
are definitely people in your life who have wronged you, and that sticks with you and that affects you, and you remember that, and your relationships with them are different now because of the conflicts that you've had with them.
Yep.
But like the guy who cuts you off on the highway, you don't think about him a year after.
I don't still remember the paint of his car and his
Yeah.
license plate number, like
Yeah.
down to the last digit.
Yeah, and you know, like, yeah, I'm like, I've definitely taken that on, and
Yeah.
I'm like grateful to you that you've like taught me that. I'm not perfect though.
Neither am I.
I do remember the paint of the last guy who cut me off. I literally do. It was
What was the color?
It was maroon.
Nice.
It was a maroon Ford, but
and if you see him,
it was an SUV.
you'll T-bone that guy.
Oh,
without
fuck.
question.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I remember too. He had a baby on board sign because I was like, "You drive like that with a baby on board?
How dare you!"
Fucking asshole."
Right.
But I'm not like, when I like in the past, if I were to like remember the burgundy Ford, I would get mad all over again. Like genuinely like feel like the anger rise up in my chest. But now I'm just like, no, like I'm like Cameron, I'm cool. yeah, I remember his face, but like
You will literally, statistically speaking, never see that person again.
But he doesn't live like rent free in my mind anymore.
And that's in my opinion
to a certain
the healthy
extent he
way
does,
to do
because
things.
I remember what his face looks like. But
Yeah.
It doesn't like consume me when I'm thinking about all the people who have wronged me and like upset me. I don't think about him.
In my opinion, the benefit to that way of thinking, the idea of like if I stay angry forever, the person who made me angry wins, is that like, don't confuse my getting over it as like not feeling those feelings, right?
Yeah.
If this person was to talk to me, instead of like screaming and shouting like I might have would have if I was still angry about it, I can just articulate why they bothered me.
Yeah.
And then that to me is more conducive to solving the problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Versus them being like, he's like freaking out, right? Like that to me is useless.
Unproductive, for sure.
Next page.
All right.
You often rely on other people to be the ones to start a conversation and keep it going.
I disagree.
See, yeah,
I wouldn't disagree like completely
no, not
on the
here.
right.
One
But
of these two.
Maybe like a little bit, like the little tiny one.
I'll go with that because I don't think I'm bad at starting conversations. In terms of social situations, there are times, especially if I don't feel like I'm much more of a commenter. You know, I'll listen because I like listening.
You know what you're good at? You are good at adding on. And like even if somebody presents like a not very open-ended conversation starter, you do a really good job of like finding ways to keep it going regardless.
Right.
So like you'll expand or branch off on a thought that maybe wasn't like fully like it just wasn't a good conversation starter, but you'll like find a way to keep it going. At least for a little bit. Not always like for hours upon hours upon hours.
Well, because I can't do that.
But like if someone is like, the Leafs are really sucking this year, you'll be like, yeah, and then and like think of something else.
Right.
Because like the Leafs are always sucking.
Yeah,
so,
there's
like,
something to talk about.
You know, that's not a very good open-ended question because like it's just the sky is blue, birds sing, and the Leafs suck. Like
yeah, exactly.
Like it's just, and I say this with like a modicum of love because even Leafs fans can admit that. But
they're pretty open about it.
Yeah, I don't say it to be like, oh, I like this other team. Leafs suck.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though I don't like the Leafs as a team. They're not my team. But yeah, like if someone presents you with like an obvious like closed-ended question like that, like you can find a way to keep the conversation going.
Well,
but you're not the first person to like walk up to somebody and be like, oh, the Leafs are sucking right now, aren't they? And also blah, 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 blah.
Right. Yeah. Well, because, I mean, to tack onto that, a skill that I've picked up playing Dungeons & Dragons, of all things, being a DM, is I've found that I'm acutely aware of who gets interrupted and who gets talked over. And I'll make a point to, like, not interrupt, because I don't like interrupting. I know it happens because it's impossible, but I don't go out of my way to interrupt people. Yeah. Or try to anyway. And when I see that people get interrupted and they were talking, I'll let the other conversation finish. And I'll turn and say, and what were you saying? You were talking about this.
Yeah.
You know, remember what they were talking about and make a point to be like, finish your thought on that.
Man, that shit is so important.
It happens a lot.
I try and do the same thing too. This has happened to me so many times, but like I hate it when somebody is like starting to tell a story and then like you're in a group of people and then like in the middle of telling a story, that person gets interrupted and the topic changes completely. So it's like they can't even interrupt and be like, oh, can I finish right now? Because they're talking about something completely different. So I have no problem like turning to them and then like completely branching off from everybody else and being like go ahead, Cameron. Like I was listening. I'm paying attention to you and what you were saying. And they'd be like, oh, okay. And then like finish the fucking story. I hate that so much.
No, there's nothing that irks me more, or like a big pet peeve of mine is like, I understand if you're in a big group setting, not everyone needs to be having the same conversation. Like people don't necessarily have to have the same conversation.
But I've seen people deliberately like start a different topic while someone was in the middle of telling a relevant story to the prior topic.
I've been talking to friends who have then turned and started talking to someone else in the middle of me talking to them.
Like, am I invisible? Yeah. Am I chopped meat?
So cool. So like the past 2 minutes of me talking, you've just been not like hearing any of it?
Yeah. And then my social anxiety sets in and it's like, you're not worth talking to, and anybody can literally take or leave your friendship at any given time.
Well, that's a little too far.
I spiral out of control, which is also why I try and make it a point to let other people finish their story, so that they know that somebody is paying attention to them, because they matter.
Exactly.
You matter.
If You have to temporarily put your plans on hold. You make sure it is your top priority. You get back on track as soon as possible.
Yes.
I would say mid-agree for that because there are plans that get canceled that I let fly to the wayside. It happens. But for the whole, if I'm the reason I have to cancel plans, I always come with a counter.
Yes.
Always be like, okay, listen, something came up. I can't do this now, but I can do this then. Personal philosophy of mine.
A friend of mine. Excuse me. Am I done burping? I'm done burping. A friend of mine told me that they have a rule in their relationship where if they are the reason that the plans don't work out, then it's that person's job to come up with the next plan.
The onus, is on them to come up with the next plans. Yeah,
and I always try and do that.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I try.
You're really good at that too.
Well, thank you.
Because this is your quiz, and I need to not make it about me.
Well, you're not making it about you. You're doing what I do a lot, which is compare your own experiences to the information you're hearing. Yeah. Right? I know a lot of people... But I also
don't want to spoil it because I have to do this quiz later.
Oh, yeah. So. Don't worry. We'll do it a week from now when things are not as fresh. Everything. You rarely worry if you made a good impression on someone you meet. I disagree. Yeah. I constantly am... Actually, I'm a hard disagree. Yeah. Constantly wondering if I made a good impression on someone.
Well, we're in the business of impressions.
Exactly.
Like good impressions. And how someone perceives you affects whether or not you work.
And all I want to do is make a good impression on people. And I'm constantly worried about whether or not... It's not so much whether or not people like me, is that whether or not people think that I'm workable, like you just said, in terms of a professional sense. Yeah. It would be a challenge for you to spend a whole weekend all by yourself without feeling bored.
Disagree. Nope. Disagree.
This sounds like a great time.
even with like COVID and all of the social distancing, like, if someone was like, hey, so, your future, like the rest of your life will not be impacted if you take these 3 days to yourself and do nothing, and you can just like you can watch all the TV you want, eat all the food that you want, and like just complete like, but you have to stay in this house. I'd be like, lock her up, boys.
Cool. See you in 72 hours.
Throw away the fucking key.
Yeah. Can I bring some marijuana and video games?
All right.
I'll be all right.
Good to go.
Yeah. See you guys on Sunday.
Yeah. Chips. I can do chips. I don't even need takeout.
You are more of a detail-oriented than a big-picture person. That's a tough one. Doing more detail-oriented than big-picture. So if I disagree, I'm saying that I am more big-picture than detail-oriented.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this because I tend to think big. My whole thought process. You get inside the head of Cam. I'll think big picture. This is what I would like out of the art I'm creating. That of course doesn't encompass anything. It's just an idea, right? From then, I work out in, right? I'll be like, here's my ending for this story. Yeah. How do I get here? Yeah. Right? How could I make an interesting climax that would complement this ending? How do I make an interesting beginning that would complement this climax? Like, I almost work backwards a lot. So, I would say that I eventually get detail-oriented, but initially I'm quite big picture in terms of my creative process.
But the details, I've noticed, the details do matter to you.
100% the details.
You do get caught up in the not even just, like, creatively, like, in life. Sometimes, and, like, we both do this, where we have to, like, hype each other up. We have to remind each other of the big picture. Yeah. Because we're so lost in the minute details, and, like, some of those details are things that we don't really have that much control over, really, that we forget about the actual goal that we're working towards.
Oh, for sure.
And how it affects that.
Listen, man, details is where the chutzpah is. Yeah. Details is what people like when they go into art, right? Yeah. When they find something interesting to look at.
Yeah, and we want people to see the details.
Yes.
So we get really, really caught up in giving good details that sometimes we forget that there's like a whole picture.
Most definitely.
That we have to present.
You are very affectionate with people you care about. Yeah. I would say mid-agree.
Would you say that if you could have everything your way, that you would be way more affectionate than you are right now? Because there are people in your life who don't necessarily like affection. Like, that's not how they operate, and you respect that because you're very good at that.
Of course, yeah.
But if that wasn't the case, would you say that you would be like 100% more affectionate with people? Like I'm like some of your friends, like you don't like hug your friends really because it's not really like that's a boundary that they have too.
Well, I disagree. We hugged pretty much at the end of every hangout.
Okay.
We do that. We make a point to do that because
Okay.
because we like each other.
Okay.
We haven't done that since COVID.
Okay.
I was gonna say one of the hardest things about COVID was having been able to hug people.
Lack of affection.
Lack of
yeah.
affection, right? Like, and I'm gonna say mid here because I don't know quite what they mean by affectionate.
I think about physical affection.
Yeah. So like I'm very complimentary to my friends. I like to remind them that
Yes.
they're good people.
Yeah.
And if COVID wasn't a thing, I'd be hugging them and stuff because I think it's important to show affection to those you love, right? I wouldn't say I'm the most affectionate person in the world.
Okay.
I process emotions through things like affection, but at the end of the day, it is more about the conversation and what you're hearing. And like, I'm not going to say I'm 100% affectionate because where affection loses is, and maybe this is why sometimes things don't go the way I want them to, is like I'm not as affectionate when it comes to problem solving. I'm far more pragmatic in that sense. But in terms of like uplifting people and being happy, I'd say I'm very affectionate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Next page.
We have a lot to go. We shouldn't talk so much on all these. You have a careful and methodical approach to life.
Approach to life? No.
I am a pretty seat of my pants guy.
There's a lot of like, maybe this will go this way, but maybe it'll go that way. Maybe we were a lot more methodical in like university. Where
Sure.
We were like, I'm going to get out of school and I'm going to do this. And then that's going to lead to this and that's going to go to that. But I feel like in recent years with you and me, like life has just sort of shown us that like you simply, especially the career that we've chosen, which can like our career can take off in so many different ways. It's just sort of like, I'm just going to try and be a good person.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe I'll get something out of it.
Much of adult life is reactionary. I can't control some of the things that happen in my life.
Yeah.
So you just need to react appropriately.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Are you are still bothered by the mistakes you made a long time ago? Let's go ahead and hard agree there. The mistakes I made a long time ago color the person I am today.
Yeah.
It's how I
Yeah.
remind myself to be a good person.
Yeah.
At parties and similar events, you can mostly be found farther away from the action.
Hard
Hard
agree. That's like our favorite part of any social like event. Like, okay, so the first year that we were dating, we must have gone to like 3 weddings.
Yeah, for 4 weddings.
3 or 4 weddings.
Something like that.
And even funerals too. We had to go to a couple of funerals,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Bangers.
But like the best part of all of those events was the part where we like you show up and they're like, hi everybody, hi, yes, I'm here, good to see you, blah blah blah, this is what I'm doing with my life, these are my plans for the future, yes, I'm finishing school soon, blah 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 blah. Did I do all that? Perfect. I'm gonna fuck off. Like the two of us are gonna fuck off, and your mom would find us like in a different room in the corner in the dark,
Pretty much.
in a chair, just like draped over each other, just like talking in our own secret language, and that was like the best part of the evening or the day or whatever.
Sam, I cannot wait until we find our own place to move out, because that means I can start doing the thing where I come to parties for half an hour and go home.
Yeah.
Like I can't wait. I'm gonna be that person so hard.
Yeah.
Show up because
Irish exit all the
because
time.
there is an obligation for me to be here, and I do like these people, but I do not like parties. So hi everybody. Hope everyone's having a good night. Say hi to everyone. I would
Love
personally
you. Love you.
love you for sure. I'm going to be the person in my adult life who says goodbye or says hello but never goodbye.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, hey, good to see you. And then after 20 minutes, be like, okay, let's go home.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done here. Like, I said
Yeah.
hi to everyone.
Yeah.
It's time to go home.
Yep.
You often find it difficult to relate to people who let their emotions guide them.
Hard disagree.
Hard disagree, yeah.
disagree.
I've become much more emotionally resonant in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
It-
As pragmatic as you are, you understand the emotions behind the pragmatism.
Because in my opinion, if you go all the way to pragmatism, you become a psychopath. Bless you.
Thank you.
But if you go all the way to emotional, you become irrational, right? That's the two
Yes.
far ends of the
Yes.
spectrum.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I sit practically center left in terms of like if left is going to be the pragmatic side. That's where I think. That's where I sit in terms of that. When looking for a
Hard
movie,
agree.
you spent
All the way to the left. Thank you.
we spent evenings doing
sometimes,
this.
yeah, sometimes we don't even watch we don't watch anything. We don't watch a movie or a TV show. We
It's
just browse
fun to talk about this stuff.
and like talk about and read the log lines and just like talk about the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This next one, I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
Because I think I'll freak out after.
Yeah.
like if I'm under a lot of emotional duress,
Yeah.
during the which, if I need to stay calm, if my brain is like, okay, listen, if you freak out right now, this is gonna get really bad. I'll be able to stay calm.
I remember the best And like it's funny now because everything worked out and everyone's okay and healthy and well and still with us. But your mom's best friend was having, this was a couple years ago, she was having, it wasn't appendicitis, but it seemed a lot like appendicitis. And me, your mom, and you went over there, and then her husband came like a little bit later to take her to the hospital. But we were like calling an ambulance for her. And you were the one who had to call the ambulance because your mom was looking after her best friend, and I was just kind
She
of
had
like
fainted at this point.
I was like the girlfriend. Like,
Yeah,
like,
what are you gonna do? Yeah.
I'm like I like these people. I do not know these people as intimately as like you who've grown up with them your entire life, and like your mom who's like that's her best friend. So you're on the phone, and like for anybody who's had to call 911 before, you call them and they dispatch an ambulance for you
Immediately.
but they stay on the phone with you and like keep asking you questions about their symptoms or like what's happening to them. But you didn't know that.
They also didn't tell me.
They didn't tell you that they had dispatched an ambulance. So you just thought that she was asking you like 73 questions before she sent an ambulance, and like you were being nice, and like your mom's friend was like laid out like fainting. And you were on the phone, and you didn't lose your patience with the operator, but like at one point you held the phone away from your mouth, and you were like, "I'm gonna fucking kill this woman." Like, you were so fucking mad.
Well, of course it was, because you have to understand from my perspective, like I've never called 911 before.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they send an ambulance out immediately.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, my mom's best friend is fainted on her porch.
Yes.
Her eyes are rolling in the back of her head.
Yeah.
And if this woman asks me one more goddamn question about my zip code, I'm going to freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
Send an ambulance!
Yeah, so it like made total sense.
Yes.
You were under pressure, and like you weren't calm, but you didn't lose your mind.
Well, it's not her fault.
Yeah.
She's doing her job.
But the fact that you can keep that in like a lot of people can't keep that in their heads when they're when someone is like fainting and like pale as a sheet right in front of them. People can't maintain that composure. You could. I mean, you were still affected by what was happening, so I wouldn't say you were all the way to the left.
No.
But like the fact that you had the wherewithal to like hold the phone away from your mouth to freak out is like, like you're a good person to have when there's pressure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like to think so as well.
Yeah.
Wow, we have a long way to go.
Yeah.
I
think it said it's like 16 questions or something like that.
This is more.
More
we've
than
already
that.
answered 16 questions.
Yeah.
There's 16 personalities.
Oh, okay.
When in a group of people you do not know, you have no problem jumping right into their conversation.
Nope.
It's hard to agree.
No.
When you sleep, your dreams tend to be bizarre and fantastical. No, I don't get dreams.
No. You get like sleep paralysis. You haven't had sleep paralysis in a while, though.
Very long time.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, ever since I started like marijuana being a regular part of my life, I stopped having dreams.
Huh.
I mean, I'll get.
I think there have been like studies about like how that affects dreaming.
I mean, whatever.
Because like it's in your brain.
I'd much rather sleep.
Yeah.
In your opinion, it is sometimes okay to step on others to get ahead in life. Well, I don't know about that. No, I really hard disagree.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, I'll keep this as short as possible. I want to be a successful person who runs solely on my ethics. And I would never want to put people down. I never want to be a two-faced ladder climber. I want to be the person who sends the elevator back down kind of person, right? And I think that's possible. And a lot of people think that because due to the capitalist society we live in, that something like that is impossible. But I don't think it is.
That's very good of you, babe.
I try.
And I think there are a lot of people who would agree with you. A lot of people who have achieved success and would say the same thing.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
You are dedicated and focused on your goals, only rarely getting sidetracked.
You get sidetracked all the time.
I'm going to say mid-disagree.
Yeah.
Because I am dedicated. I am obviously dedicated to my work, but I do find myself getting sidetracked frequently.
Yeah. And that's like I realized I answered really quickly for you there, but it's like it happens. I do it too, and it happens.
I was a heavy procrastinator. I'm not a procrastinator pretty much anymore, but I was a heavy procrastinator in school, and that doesn't stop. That behavior doesn't just stop.
Exactly.
You know, it's this process. You got to wean it out.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake, you tend to start doubting yourself, your abilities, and knowledge.
Yes.
Wait, if I make a mistake.
If you make a mistake.
I'm going to say no. Mistakes are a part of learning. You should make mistakes. If you make mistakes, you'll get more context on the thing you're trying to do.
But do you believe that, or do you actually carry that out?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think I make tons of mistakes. I mean, doing an art lesson just now.
No, yeah, like you make mistakes for sure, but like, haven't you ever made a mistake? And like, it's not even like when you're practicing your art, or like if you're trying to pick up a new skill, like something interpersonal. Have you ever like made a mistake and then you're just like, holy shit, I never thought I would make a mistake like that before. Who am I?
Not to that extent.
No?
I've definitely made mistakes where I've
You don't get that existential?
doubted decisions I've made in the past.
Okay.
But I think that's a part of, like I just said, it's a part of the learning process, right?
Okay.
I even think about context of our relationship. Like, you've told me things that you were upset about, that I could have never dreamed that you would be upset about, or even tell me that I'm behaving in a way that I could have never perceived myself of behaving that way.
Yeah.
But after hearing your side of story, I could see what you were saying and the mistakes that I've made to get to this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about that, and I think like, well, that's something to think about and chew on and change.
Yeah.
But I frequently don't find myself dipping into self-doubt and existential horror and whatnot. I've definitely been there.
Okay.
It's just, it's the frequency of it.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I'm not over here. Like, it happens. I'm saying it happens. It just, it's not every mistake I make.
Yeah.
It's not even every other mistake I make. Kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When at a social event, you rarely try to introduce yourself to new people and mostly talk to the ones you already know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would soft agree.
I tend to, I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to not introduce myself.
Yeah, but I just think, like, remember that time we were at a friend's cottage and the friend's neighbors showed up and you and I were one of the only people to talk to them, and everybody else was like, for what it's worth, like, these people showed up. We were, like, drinking, carrying on, like you do at a cottage, and it was late. It was like
10:30, 11.
It was like 10:30, 11. And these people came over already drunk, and they were like, hey, we're the neighbors, just wanted to get to know you. And then they just like stayed hanging out with us.
We didn't like invite them in or anything. They sort of just like parked themselves in chairs.
They just like came over.
Which is like, that's a very Canadian cottage country thing to do. Like, it happens.
No, the Canadian cottage country thing is to simply say hello to your neighbors. Yeah. And then if the flow of things works out, then yeah, stay for a while. But like, how I would approach it is be like, hey everybody, and then like after a couple of minutes, if things are going well, I'd be like, do you guys mind if I like join you? I have my own drinks. I'm gonna go back to the cottage, get my own drink, come back and rejoin you, and we can hang out. And if it's going well, we can be like, yeah, these people were like, what's up everybody? We're hanging out.
We're here now.
I know that it's cottage country, but like I need a little bit more say in the matter because I did not expect you to be here.
Oh, so I don't think I've ever told you this, but Steve and I were talking to the guy that came with us. And after we told him we were into like art and stuff, I think he like really got like almost tried to belittle us a little bit, because he'd be like, "Oh yeah, what are you working on? What do you?"
Yeah.
Ask all these like really intrusive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, really intrusive.
See you on Netflix somewhere.
It's like no, well, we're in school. So, yeah. I don't know, bud. I mean, you showed up with your drunk ass sister or whatever, and imposed on a bunch of fucking young adults party. So who's the real loser here?
Yeah, go put your daughter back to bed. But everybody else sort of like went away and like was playing beer pong and did their own thing, and you and I and one other person, like I think it was Steve, just like politely stayed and talked to them so as not to appear icy.
Well, of course.
So like
they left after like 20 minutes or something. We weren't there very long.
Yeah, like you don't make it a point to like if you see somebody new, you're gonna be like, I'm gonna go talk to that person. But you can be nice to new people if the flow of the conversation.
It's called being
right.
cordial.
Exactly. You can be cordial. Exactly.
You usually lose interest in a discussion when it gets philosophical.
Hard disagree.
I love philosophical conversations.
You love to pontificate.
I am about that because I am a how you say an out loud thinker. Mm-hmm. I frequently, when I'm by myself, will talk out loud to the things that pop into my head. Mm-hmm. And I love hearing about what other people think, right? Mm-hmm. And when it comes to philosophical conversations, I could say for hours what I think, but I know what I think. I want to hear what other people think. Mm-hmm. You know, I like to think that goes both ways. Yeah. You would never let yourself cry in front of others. May disagree.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
I think crying as a man in 2020 is a sign of strength. Mm-hmm. Crying is a logical reaction to the emotions you're feeling.
Yeah.
And if you force yourself not to cry, you're going to give yourself a trigger.
But like, and like, correct me if I'm wrong, there are some people that you don't want to cry in front of.
I guess so. I guess it depends on our relationship.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Like if that relationship is like maybe a little tumultuous, or if you don't know the person very well, and like say like I can name a couple of people, not like on mic, but
Yeah.
I can name some people who I don't think you would want to cry in front of based off of how your relationship has been going lately.
Sure.
And like even if you were at like the saddest funeral, if it was just you and that other person, like you wouldn't want to cry because that person was there.
I think that makes sense. You know, I
And
don't quite know who you're
like,
talking about,
it
but
wouldn't be like, I'm not gonna fucking cry because I'm not gonna let this person have it. It's just like their presence is it doesn't give you the circumstances in which you feel okay to cry.
Cry. I mean, yeah, you have to be comfortable to cry.
Yeah.
You want to cry. Like, you know, I understand crying is something that a lot of people can't help, so I get it. But I don't know. I personally, a lot of people see crying as a sign of weakness, and I think that's bullshit.
Absolutely.
Crying is how you process.
I agree.
You gotta physically let it out. You feel more drawn to places with a bustling and busy. Whatever. You like discussing different views and theories on what the world could look like in the future. Hard yes.
agree.
That's what our show is about. When it comes to making life-changing choices, you mostly listen to your heart rather than your head.
Soft disagree.
Soft disagree. I think your heart has good things to say, but ultimately your head is the one running the business. So, you cannot imagine yourself dedicating your life to the study of something you cannot see, touch, or experience. Wow, what a question.
Whoa. You can't imagine yourself dedicating your life to the study of something you can't see.
No, I mean, I studied acting.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's an experience.
Yeah. But like, if you were like a little bit better at like math and science,
right.
would you dedicate yourself to like the study of like space, like deep space?
I think if I had the view of school I have now at 24 when I was 10, I could have very definitely been in the sciences for sure. Because I think learning is so powerful and so important. And
I think science is like the perfect example of that working out well and for the benefit of everybody else.
Yeah.
I got a lot of respect for science.
Gonna mid-disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Usually prefer to get your revenge rather than forget.
Disagree.
Get revenge? The fuck? Are you a sociopath?
Yeah.
You'll have to make decisions on a whim. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes.
I tend to think hard about heavy decisions, but moment-to-moment decisions.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I'm pretty quick.
If there's like, you have sworn off buying more pop figures so many times only to come out with another pop figure. And I'm like,
well,
Cam, I thought you were going to stop at
the only pop figures I collect now are the Dungeons and Dragons ones.
That's not stopping, though.
It's stopping.
You said before that you're not buying any more pop figures.
Well, that was before they came out with Dungeons and Dragons ones, Sam.
Yeah, exactly.
The time you spend by yourself often ends up being more interesting and satisfying than the time you spend with other people. That's a tough one.
That's a very like harsh way of putting it.
Well, I'm gonna soft disagree because I think spending time alone is important.
Yeah.
But I also think that spending time with your friends is important.
Alone.
I do love to spend time alone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hard disagree or soft disagree, just because I think
you're not a complete what do you call it,
misanthrope.
Yeah, you're not a misanthrope, but you do like your alone time, and like when it comes to like you come home from like social interactions, and even if it's with your best friends, like that's energy spent, and you have to like build that back up again.
Yeah.
Whereas you can never get enough time spent with just yourself.
For sure.
You're never sick of that. You know?
Oh no. I like I've always said, a little harsh I'm gonna sound here, but if there was an apocalypse that resulted in everyone in the world dying but me, I think I could figure that out.
Yeah.
It would take a lot of time and a lot of pain for sure.
Yeah.
And I might end up jumping off a cliff or something.
Even with social distancing, like the height of social distancing, when even I wasn't coming over, like, yeah, like you missed people.
It got hard. I will admit, it got hard.
But it did not. It took a long time for it to get hard.
I started really feeling the effects after 6 weeks. 6 weeks of being alone, and I was
like zero touch.
Yeah.
Like no hugs, not even a handshake, nothing.
Yeah, that to me, the peak after 6 weeks was the hardest.
Yeah.
That would have got really, really hard.
Yeah.
But other than that, whatever. I like being alone.
Yeah.
You often put special effort into interpreting the real meaning or message of a song or movie.
Yes.
I would say soft agree.
Really? I would go hard agree.
Well, the thing is, what's the stipulation is this word. I don't believe that songs, movies, TVs have real meanings. I think they have personal meanings. When I watch something, what it means to me isn't going to be what it means to you. And I don't think that I think creators have goals in mind, but I don't think that all art is created to be like this specific thing.
I think you're pontificating too much. I think the word real shouldn't be in this question.
Okay.
At all.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about just like looking into messages of movies and shit, like yeah.
Because you have excellent comprehension skills,
well, thank you.
You're like often, like I don't know, you find the meaning of things really really well. Like I remember we were talking about The Irishman, and I was one of my criticisms of it, which I don't hold anymore because your reading comprehension was so good that it convinced me. It was something about you made some point.
Was it the daughter?
Yes, I was complaining about the daughter. I mean, like from my perspective, like that movie could have existed without the daughter, and like nothing would have changed. And you were like, well, no, like the daughter is there to show how like Frank, Robert De Niro's character, did all of these things to try and be a good friend, a good provider, and he let it get the best of him, and he wound up alone at the end of it. And I was like, that's correct. And yeah, like it definitely made me like the movie more. I still think Anna Paquin just like got just I don't know. I just feel like women in Scorsese movies don't get the time that they
her
spend.
role was largely symbolic, and
Yeah.
I think that your interpretation is that she could have had more to say.
Yeah.
But
I'm coming from from like a more feminist lens.
Yeah,
and
100%,
like
yeah.
and like
like a Bechdel test kind of thing.
Yeah, where it's like, wow, this woman has like no screen time. So does she matter at all to you? Like,
Right.
Why did you even go through the process of hiring this person who's barely going to talk?
And I think that's, not to get too hung up, but I think that's very valid because
But you understood
women in film tend to get shunted into these like quote unquote symbolic roles.
Yeah.
And some work better than others.
And their narratives only serve to progress the man's story.
Yes, and that is
Which is literally what Anna Paquin's character.
and that is a true blue criticism of The Irishman, no doubt.
Yeah.
But considering the narrative of The Irishman, I think her place is perfect. It's just not the most, how you would say, feminist.
Yeah.
So I think that's sort of where we see it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I agree, it's not the most feminist thing in the world, but I don't think it's a bad story,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
You always know exactly what you want. Mid-disagree.
Yeah.
I frequently don't know what I want, but I like to think that when I eventually get to the point where I know what I want, it's after, like, days or even weeks of like litigation and like
Yeah.
narrowing things down
Or
to
like-
be like, this is exactly what I want.
Yeah.
2 weeks later.
Maybe, yeah, exactly. Like you don't know what you want going into something,
Never.
but once you see it, you're like, that's what I want,
Yeah.
and I know that.
I'm good at making the decision at what I want, but knowing what I want from the jump, no.
Like if I could like put it in, if I could like make it physical, like if we're gonna go to an ice cream parlor,
Yeah.
you're not gonna be like, before we even get in the door, you're not like, I know what flavor I want. But once you get to the ice cream store and you see the flavors, you're like, I want peanut butter chocolate.
Yeah, that one and that one
Yeah.
with this on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you're like, exactly, yes, that. Perfect.
You rarely think back on the choices you have made and wonder what you could have done differently.
Disagree.
I am constantly thinking about the choices I've made.
What sociopath doesn't
I was
do
about
that?
to say, you kind of gotta like, part of being a person is reflecting,
Like-
being self-reflecting. You
Yeah.
know, when in a public place, you usually stick to the quieter and less crowded areas. Yep.
Agree.
You tend to focus on present realities rather than future possibilities. Yeah, I do. I think, because, yeah, like a part of my thinking and the way I've changed my personality over the course of the years is to be more in the moment, to be present.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that worrying about what could possibly happen hinders me personally from doing that.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
You do tend to stay in the present quite often. I'll give you that.
You often have a hard time understanding other people's feelings.
Oh, hard disagree.
I'm hard disagree. I like to think I'm a pretty empathetic person, sympathetic person.
Well, I might.
Well, I guess that's not really what the question is, though.
I would like maybe soft disagree because like and like, don't take this too personally, but like, you have had a very like privileged lifestyle.
Sure.
And sometimes you do things, and I'm just like, you completely didn't think about how this would affect people when you did this.
Right.
Like, I was napping on the couch earlier today, and you turned on the light to talk to me, and then you like left the room and left the light on.
Right.
And I was like, I am trying to sleep. Like, what? I understand turning the light on to talk to me, but like, why did you leave the room?
Yeah, it was a lapse in judgment, to say the least.
Yeah.
Well, my logic was that you were facing down. Light wouldn't matter. But
okay.
But I understand, Sam.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. I'm not gonna like grill you. I'm just saying, like, sometimes the circumstances of your life like lead you to not always think about like how it affects other people, but it's never like in a major way.
That's good.
It's literally stuff like that.
Right.
It happens all of the time, but it's little things. It's not macro level things.
When starting to work on a project, you prefer to make as many decisions up front as possible.
I would
disagree.
agree with that a lot, actually. You
Yeah?
do like to have, you like to, and we're the same on this, you like to come to the table with most of the project thought of.
Like figured
Things
out,
can
yeah.
change, like you're very flexible, but that first meeting, you're like, I want this, and I think I'm gonna need this, and this much time to do it.
Right.
Period. And then like that other person will say, well, actually, maybe it'll be more like this, and you're like, okay, but you come to the table with concrete ideas.
Well, yeah, because like something I've learned about telling people ideas is that people really don't give a shit about ideas. People like to see results.
Yeah.
I have a million ideas.
Well, they care about ideas, but they don't want it to just be some like
Nebulous, like, oh, it's gonna be like this.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's gonna be this, and this.
Yeah.
It's literally what I want it to
and
be.
this is how it's gonna get done,
Yeah.
and blah blah blah.
When you know someone thinks highly of you, you also wonder how long it will be until they become disappointed in you. That is an interesting question.
Yeah.
I don't think so. No.
No.
I'm gonna mid disagree because like I can't say that I've never had this thought, but I definitely don't think it becomes a part of the thought process.
No.
When I find out someone thinks highly of me, which doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, I just sort of take it at face value.
Yeah.
They said what they said and they meant it. They wouldn't have said it. They didn't mean it. So
No, you rarely go back and doubt the
Actually, I
nice
think
things
I'm a hard
people have
disagree
said
with
about
that.
you.
You feel comfortable just walking up to someone you find interesting and striking up a conversation. No, I do not.
No.
I would never bother someone like that in a million years. You often drift away into daydreaming about various ideas or scenarios
We've
all the
established
time.
this. You daydream all the time.
You look after yourself first and others come in second. I struggle with that. I'm going to say no. I frequently put others first and it comes to the
And then don't think
detriment of
about
myself.
yourself, right?
Even when you have planned a particular daily routine, you usually just end up doing what you feel like at any given moment. That is something I struggled with a lot
Yeah.
in university, but I have been getting better at it, so I'm going to say soft disagree. Your mood can change very quickly. No.
Yeah, you maintain.
I like to think I maintain composure.
Yeah.
Because I don't wear my emotions on my sleeve ever, pretty much, unless it's with you or something where I feel like I can be 100% honest. So like, even if my mood is changing, I'm not gonna let other people know that.
No, like if you start the day off feeling sluggish, you're usually sluggish all day, and if you start the day off feeling productive, you can usually maintain a level of production like all day.
For sure,
focus.
for sure. You often contemplate the reasons for human existence and the meaning of life.
Soft agree?
Sure, I mean, I guess.
I mean, don't we all?
Because, yeah, it's not like I don't think about that.
I mean, you said that you like participating in philosophical conversations, and if
I
that's
do.
not philosophy, then I don't fucking know what is.
I do, but I guess it's like, how do I say this? I like being philosophical about subjects, but in terms of like, does life have a meaning? Like, I'll answer the question if life has a meaning right now. Life's meaning is whatever you mean it to be. That's the meaning of life. Make your own life. That to me is like where I get hung up on that. It's like,
But like the reasons. Oh, sorry, no. The reasons for human existence is like, sorry. I thought they were making like a list.
no.
Like the reasons for human existence, meaning of life, but it's the reasons for human existence or
the meaning of life.
life.
So yeah, yeah. So
contemplate the
I'm
meaning
gonna
of
soft agree.
Yeah.
You also talk about your own feelings and emotions.
All the time, constantly.
You've got detailed education or career development plans stretching several years into the future.
Maybe like soft agree.
I certainly have ambitions.
You have ambitions, but they're not like concrete plans. It's just
No.
like, I want to do this and hopefully it will lead to this.
Yeah,
And you don't know when exactly like it's going to happen, but you just hope that it happens if you stick to it and do it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You rarely dwell on your regrets. I mean, I don't not dwell on my regrets.
Yeah.
But it's something I think about because I think having regrets again is important to be a well-rounded person. But I don't sit on them forever. Spending time in a dynamic atmosphere with lots of people around quickly makes you feel drained and in need of a getaway. Yep.
Agree, big agree.
I am an introvert. True and true. You see yourself as more of a realist than a visionary. I would honestly, like, I'm not going to do it because it's like the test says to not do it, but I would actually say this. I am
Very neutral.
right in the middle.
Well,
because I am extremely realistic.
We're more than halfway through. We have like less than a quarter left of this quiz. Like, scroll up to the top.
Almost at 90%.
You haven't picked a single neutral question yet. I think you can pick one neutral question.
Because I am extremely realistic, but I also think you should dream big.
Yeah.
You can dream big in your realisticness. One does not shoehorn the other, you know?
Yeah, I feel like often people think that like being a realist means like shitting on like dreaming big. It's okay to dream big, but just be realistic about how you actually get there.
Exactly.
Like when I was younger, even like 4 years ago, I was like, yeah, like I want to be an actor and act all the time, and I still want to do that, but I understand now that being an actor means that actually a lot of the time spent is not acting.
Yeah, it's like football. You spend 90% practicing and 10% playing.
Exactly. And it's like, I don't want to be an actor any less than I did those 4 years ago, but I realistically understand how I'm going to get there and what it's probably going to look like. I'm probably not going to be fucking Viola Davis. Like, I'm probably not. But,
You never know.
you know, like, we can still be good.
Oh, yeah,
You know?
exactly.
For a long time, I conflated acting with being famous I envisioned like fame as the litmus test, meaning that you had been successful as an actor.
Right.
As if you can achieve some level of fame. And
That's really not
just
the
simply
case.
not the case. There
Yeah.
are tons of actors, career actors, who have houses and families, and they're not famous, but they act on a regular basis.
Exactly.
You know?
Acting is a huge industry.
You know, visionary and then like realism, you
Yep.
know, like I still have my dream, but like this is what it actually looks like. as
Stand
opposed to,
tall
like-
with your feet firmly planted on the ground.
Exactly.
That's the way I operate.
Yeah, that's why I think you're truly neutral, because you never let go of your dreams, but you also understand the real life implications of what it takes to get there.
Like, I want to be an actor, but I'm probably not going to be Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah.
That guy works up at 4 a.m. every day to work out.
I don't want to do that.
I can't do that.
I don't want to do that.
You find it easy to empathize with a person who has gone through something you never have. Yeah, I mean, I like to think that I could at least think about what their experience would be like.
Yeah.
I always try to cop to the idea that I understand, but I'll never fully understand.
Yeah.
Like when someone says something to me, I'll be like, listen, that's never happened to me, and like, I don't know what that's like, but
Yeah.
I do understand that it would suck.
Like you've never had to go through the death of a parent before, but you can understand that someone who has lost a parent would be very sad.
To put it lightly, yes.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm thinking with that.
Yeah.
Your personal work style is closer to spontaneous bursts of energy than to be organized and consistent efforts. Well, it was like this for a long time, but in the last couple of years, it's become this. So I'm gonna soft disagree or mid disagree.
Because that still dwells inside you a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Your emotions control you more than you control them. Hard disagree.
You're very in control of your emotions, you would say?
Yeah.
You're 100% in control of your emotions at all time. They never ever like lash out and cause you to.
Well, I don't think
do
that's what
things
this
that-
is.
Well, you're saying that you 100% disagree. So you're saying that you control your emotions more than they control you.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not trying to say that, like, I'm an unemotional person, but, I mean, I ask you, am I one to have outbursts?
No.
Am I one to, like, get mad about something and, like, flip a chair?
No.
So you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I can be really, really angry. I'm not infallible, right?
Yeah.
I can get super angry.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to start breaking shit. I'm not going to, like, the anger has consumed me,
Yeah.
you know, like, and, like, take over.
Yeah.
After a long and exhausting week, a
Just
fun
disagree.
What the
Just
fuck
disagree.
kind of question is that? You frequently find yourself wondering how technological advancement could change everyday life.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll soft agree with that.
I'm not liking where AI is going right now.
I think Elon Musk is an idiot, but I don't think he's an idiot about that.
Yeah.
You always consider how your actions might affect other people before doing something.
Soft disagree. Or maybe like
I would say this.
soft agree.
It's not that I don't. It's just that like.
You do sometimes.
Well, when making a decision that directly involves another person,
Yeah.
I could do that. But something I guess I struggle with, I could cop to, would be like making decisions for myself that then affect other people. Because if it affects me, I need to think about the way it's going to affect me. And I don't always see that it could possibly affect somebody else.
Yeah.
But when I have that thought, it tends to end up affecting somebody else.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's a comfortable spot for that. You still honor the commitments you have made, even if you had a change of heart.
I'd say so.
Yeah, I do that. You rarely feel insecure. No, I've times where I plenty feel insecure. Just not all the time.
Oh, is this the end?
My results!
Hey!
My personality type is a mediator.
INFPT.
Excuse me.
That's young again. I guess this is like a shortened version of the Myers-Briggs test.
I get a little bit, right?
I think that's where I remember this website from, is because somebody, I think on like Tumblr years ago, posted the full Myers-Briggs test, which is like 200 questions.
Yeah.
And they were like, if you really, really, really don't want to do this, like this is the best, like obviously the best way is to do the full 200 questions, but this is the best.
Pretty
like
up
this is the
there.
best quiz you can take that's like shorter.
Yeah, so mind. This trait determines how we interact with our environment. It is saying that I am mostly introverted with some extroverted tendencies. Energy. This trait shows we direct our mental energy. Apparently, I'm more intuitive than I am observant.
Okay.
But it is not like it's not like this one, right? Where I'm like quite introverted. It's like a bit more of a spread.
I was gonna say you're pretty observant.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, with these personality tests, it's like this is based off the question. Like we don't know who you are.
Yeah.
This trait determines how we make decisions and cope with emotions. I guess it's saying that I feel more than I think, which I don't necessarily agree with.
Like how we make decisions and cope with emotions. So you make decisions and cope with emotions more with like your heart than your head.
I guess so. I personally don't see it that way.
I think that
that
you take your head, like your logic, into consideration quite a bit. But I think that at the end of the day, like you'll take what you're thinking about and then be like, well, how do I feel about those things? And then make a decision.
Okay, that makes more sense.
You know?
Tactics. This trait reflects our approach to work, planning, and decision making.
Wow, you're almost 50-50.
Yeah.
You are like pretty in the middle.
Half judging, half prospecting.
Wow.
I guess that makes sense.
Wow.
You know, like
Yeah.
this trait underpins all others, showing how confident we are in our abilities and decisions. That's identity. I am 54% turbulent and 46% assertive. I mean, yeah, I guess so.
That works.
What did it start reading?
That's nice.
Oh, hang on.
No, you don't.
Well, I guess. Well, it's in the video.
Yeah.
But here's if I wanted to read more about my personality.
Oh, nice. Wait.
Oh, wait.
Mediators you may know.
Oh, other mediators.
Oh, cool. Alicia Keys.
Like Tolkien, Shakespeare,
Bjork.
Alicia Keys, and Tom Hiddleston.
Oh my God, you're like Tom Hiddleston? Oh, he's so hot.
Wow, that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Strengths and weaknesses?
Makes sense because you're so hot.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God. Maybe I'll read this later.
Well, maybe maybe read like 1 or 2 strengths and 1 or 2 weaknesses, just to give the people that content.
My strengths: I am idealistic, and I seek value. I seek and value harmony. I see it now.
Yes.
I seek and value harmony. I would agree with that. I'm open-minded and flexible.
Yeah.
I think so. I like to think I'm creative. I'm a pretty creative guy.
Yeah.
Passionate and energetic sometimes. Dedicated, hardworking.
I see that.
I tend to stay. I like to think I work hard. My weaknesses: I am too idealistic, meaning that I can come off as a little naive at times, which I could agree with. I'm too altruistic. Especially seen this as a selfish one because they want to give somebody the other.
Oh, like you're too giving.
I'm too selfless.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but I can see why it would be a weakness.
Yeah.
I am impractical. Something when captures mediator's imagination, they can neglect practical matters like day-to-day maintenance and simple pleasures. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know about that.
Neglect practical matters like day-to-day maintenance and simple pleasure. Well, you are a little messy.
I can be a little messy, that's for sure.
Yeah. I went up to your bedroom today to like put my stuff in there because I just got here today, and I gotta say your room smells like boy.
Yeah, does it?
And
it's because there's a lot of laundry in the basket.
yeah, damn.
I need to take it out.
Yep.
Just like dealing with data.
Yeah.
I think so. I consume our our
scroll
analytics
up,
pretty well.
If you scroll up to the picture under mediator weaknesses. Oh, okay, never mind. I thought it showed her like looking out of the window and ignoring a chart, which is like very you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Take things personally.
I would agree with this. But I don't think it's in the like somebody like busts your shoulder, like pushes past you on the subway, and you're like, that person must hate me. Like it's not like that, but you do like you're very like introspective. So like a lot of the things, like you relate a lot of things back to yourself, and like you even said this earlier when I was saying like I'm worried that I'm making this about me, where you were like you're like me, like you use things that you know about yourself in order to like explain the point that you're trying to make.
Okay.
You know?
Well, because it says here like take challenges and criticisms personally, and like I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but I tend not to take criticism personally, especially when it comes to art.
Yeah.
Because if someone's giving you constructive criticism, it's good. That's what you want.
Yes.
Difficult to get to know. Mediators are private, reserved, and self-conscious. That makes them notoriously difficult to really get to know, and their need for these qualities contributes to the guilt they often feel for not giving more of themselves to those they care about. I could see myself somewhere in this.
Yeah, you think that I don't think that outside of your very close circle that not a lot of people know you?
Yeah. I don't. Well, I also like if you think about it, like I don't really put myself out there too much. Besides, well, since we've been doing this, and now my life is on display. I think about how sometimes like relationships or friendships that I have had that could have been stronger, should I have contributed a bit more to the openness of that.
Right.
That I don't do all the time.
Right.
And I think I don't agree. Obviously, well, it's a personality test. I don't agree with the good shit either. There's some things about this that I don't agree with.
Of course.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this was fun.
Well, hold on. There's a part about romantic relationships. And we're a couple.
I know, but I think we're at like an hour.
Well, just do me a favor, like click to the next arrow.
Right.
I just want to see where this goes.
Romantic relationships. Mediators are dreamy idealists in the pursuit of the perfect relationship. This quality shows strongest, never showed in the imagination. Mediators dream of the perfect relationship, forming an image of this pedestaled idea that their soulmate, playing and replaying scenarios in their head and how things will be. This is a role that no person can hope to fill, and people with the media personality type need to recognize that nobody's perfect and that relationships don't just magically fall into place. They take compromise, understanding, and effort.
This is true in certain aspects because
I certainly think I understand this, though.
You understand that, but you know and grew up with a lot of really, really seemingly idealistic relationships, like your grandparents.
I see what you mean. Your
grandparents, And I think that you hold your relationships to that a little bit.
Right.
And, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just, like, the relationships that you model our relationship after are different. You also didn't know everything. You didn't know all of the working parts of those relationships. So there were things wrong with like, your grandparents' marriage and your parents' marriage even. But, that doesn't make them any less special. It just means that when it comes time for you to have your own relationships, like, don't be shocked when you find out that, like, not everything's perfect. And I think that you understand that. Or certainly you've learned it over the course of this relationship. Maybe not so much in the beginning.
Right.
But, yeah, no, for sure. I think that one of the hardest things about this relationship has been, like, in the beginning, especially because, like, there was one point, like, before we even started dating where we, like, talked and like told each other what we want in a partner.
Yeah.
And then we realized that we were talking about each other. And you were like, so if X happens, we would simply do Y, and then that would solve the problem. And then we started dating and we tried to do that, and it didn't work like that.
No. No, it really didn't.
Things just simply don't work like that. You don't just go like, oh, well, Sam's having an anxiety attack, so I'm just going to tell her I love her, and like, maybe in a few minutes it'll be okay.
Yep.
And then you learned that is so not not how things work.
Well, especially because
ever.
like, if I can be honest and really be candid here, like, I didn't really. I'm certain I knew lots of people conflicted with anxiety and depression and things like that, but I didn't quite understand how it worked intimately.
Yeah.
Until I met you and by extension your friends and these people
and got
who
really, really close and like saw it.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen me have anxiety attacks.
Well, that's just it. Like, I mean, I'll tell a little story. I'm not going to do details. It'll be really short. But like, there are times when your anxiety will
have the worst timing.
Have bad timing. I was gonna say, make you do the opposite of what would make a situation comfortable, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And over the course of our relationship, I've learned that there is nothing you can fucking do about that. I don't get annoyed because there's no point of getting annoyed. You just need to deal with it. Mm-hmm. I've had, I know people, coworkers, friends, whatever, who will say something like, "Oh my, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, whatever, like started like doing this thing, acting really weird, and like couldn't like I don't know, come out of this room during a party or something." Yeah. And I'll reply with like, "Listen, bro, like it sounds like they're having anxiety." Yeah. And if you want to be a good partner, you gotta leave them alone. Yeah. I know it's uncomfortable. Believe you me, I know, but.
That's the way she goes.
It's the way she fucking goes. Yeah. You wouldn't force someone with a broken leg to stand. Yeah. You can't force someone with social anxiety into a social situation. Yeah. It's the same thing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Did you feel?
Totally, dude.
All right, but listen, we've been talking about myself for an hour, I'm pretty sure. So if you guys like this video, be sure to drop a like. And we'll be back next week with Sam's test.
Oh, man, mine's going to be so much longer.
It's going to be 3 hours long. It's going to be 3 parts. All righty, guys.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.